Are meat eaters co-conspirators to murder? You bet they are. Why? Number one, they're killing a sentient being that, number two, they don't need for their health. It's not one of their needs. We need natural food. Animals are not natural food for humans. We're not omnivores. We're not meat eaters. That's a lie. When you kill an animal, you're only killing it for one reason. Yum, 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 yums. Based on all those addictions. Based on those bad choices you've been making all your life that you didn't even know were bad. You're under a spell. But you're committing murder for two reasons. You're killing the animal, and it's a feeling being, and it's an animal that is not attacking you. Okay, I realize I got a need for protection, right? I got a right to kill that lion if it's coming at me. Sure, you got to defend yourself. But you're not killing it for that reason. And then you're not killing it because your life depends on it. Your nourishment depends on it. Everyone who believes that their nourishment depends on meat is in a horrible dilemma, to paraphrase George Bernard Shaw. That's the point right there. And this is why vegetarians lose the argument with most of the meat eaters. They still have this mindset, animal protein, animal protein. As we speak, there are TV programs pushing this bullshit, and you hear the contestants in reality shows like Naked and Afraid being convinced that, oh my God, after 3 days, no animal protein, we need the animal protein. And yet when you see the people who competed in this or was in this program, the vegetarians survived and looked great. They thrived in that process. Amazing that it's so easy for us to believe in this stuff. But we've been brought up from the very get-go to believe in these absurdities, and then we'll commit the atrocities. When you kill an animal for the only reason for your pleasure, that is murder. And the number of animals we eat is one number, but the number of animals we kill in the process are astronomical compared to the other one. The average meat eater in their lifetime, in a 70-year lifetime or so, will kill probably 2,000 to 7,000 approximately animals. But then there's collateral damage. In the process of eating these animals, they were fed these animals. You add that to the number, man, you bump it up somewhere between 14 and 28,000 in a lifetime. And also another group along with that, this is the fish meal, the other would be bycatch. When they're going after the tuna, they're killing some dolphins and turtles. When you add those numbers in, we're looking at a possible 14,000 more animals, or 14,000 more animals, or another 28,000 animals. So the numbers I gave a couple days ago, using 1,000 to maybe 1,100 animals a year that we would kill, 70 to 77,000 in a 70-year period of time, we could add another 14, maybe 28,000. Average is around 105,000 animals the average meat eater is responsible for killing in their lifetime. The way things are, the way the factory system is. Now, those numbers are going to be a lot lower if you are living off the land in Alaska, or if you have a ranch, you got your own cattle and animals, and you're killing them and butchering them and freezing everything for however long it takes for you to eat the animal. You're not killing as many animals. But the way the system is now, the factory farming, the torture, the murder, the suffering on this planet is insane. Insane. And the problem, we don't think we're doing anything wrong because we think we need the protein, and yet we don't need the protein. We don't want protein. We want amino acids. We want simple. We don't want starch. We don't want complex sugar. We want simple sugar. That's why the only food that wants us to eat is perfect for us. We are fruitarians. We are frugivores. If you look at our anatomy, we're in the same class as all the other primates. Well, but John, aren't they eating some animals too? Well, yeah, we've encroached on their property, but you look at Jane Goodall, that was amongst them for over a decade, said it took her 10 years before she ever saw one of these guys eat another monkey, and because of the territory being encroached upon. So it's not natural. Under ideal conditions, there's no primate going to want to go out there and rip another monkey apart when it's got a durian or something in front of it to eat. I guarantee you. We don't want to work that hard. We don't need to work that hard. We work way too hard right now the way things are. We should have paradise on this planet, and it could return to that if we'd ever wake up and realize the role that we're playing. So, if you are a meat eater and you wake up to the reality that you can get all the protein you need from plants, and you don't stop, why? Because you're under the spell, my friend. It's like every drug we're on. And the only way to break this kind of a spell is to take a solid food vacation. When we stop making all 5 main mistakes we're making that are causing most of our problems, it takes our life to a whole nother level. You can't really understand it until you do it. And once you do it, you finally have a brand new reference that can challenge all the bullshit that's been bombarded in your brain. And that's what it's going to take, because we've been bombarded ever since we're as little as we can be. As soon as we can understand anything, we're bombarded with bullshit. And that's why we have bullshit now. So, it doesn't have to be. Most people are going to walk away from the truth. Most people don't want to think that something they love doesn't love them back. But the reality of the fact is that when we eat an animal, it's not just a double whammy, it's a triple whammy. Doesn't do the animal doing it any good. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do our environment any good, which now means it's not doing me any good. So you don't have a right to do what you're doing to the environment. And you think you do because you think you need to eat the protein. So the first thing you bozos have to realize is that we don't want protein. And if you look at the biggest and strongest animals on the planet anyway, the elephants, the rhinoceroses, the hippopotamus, the giraffes, the gorillas, the bulls, the oxes, none of these guys are eating other animals. And they're the biggest and strongest animals on the planet. They're getting it from the greens. But even the fruit has complete proteins, or it's actually in a free-floating amino acid form, so our body doesn't have to do anything to use those amino acids. Whereas when we eat animal flesh, we got to break it down and rearrange it. We make our bodies work too hard when we eat animal flesh. Not to mention it's going to damage the kidneys, that's going to pollute the lymph system, and that's the whole disease process. So, when you eat an animal, you're committing a sin by killing an animal that you don't need to because it's not attacking you, and you don't need it for what your need for food. It's not natural food. And then we have the sin, the mistake of killing us. Then we have the sin or the mistake of damaging the environment. 3 strikes right there when you eat an animal. It's a mistake, it's a sin, and as long as we believe in absurdities, we're going to commit atrocities. But once we wake up to that reality, we can turn this hell we created that centers around murder and slaughter and pain and suffering back into the paradise it was before, when we didn't have all this pain and murder and suffering. And if we can ever wake up to that reality, this whole planet, especially the animals, are in for a treat.